So today I'm phoning the owner of a business that contacted us in the last couple of days. It was either yesterday or the day before. So we've got a scheduled call happening now, and it looks like he's got several locations. It looks like it's profitable. The accounts that I've got are abbreviated, so I've just got a balance sheet. But from the profit, from the corporation tax, I can work backwards to what I think the profit is. So it'll be interesting to see whether the profit is what I think it is. I think it's about 200,000 because there's about 40-something thousand of corporation tax. So let's see whether that is the case. It's got to be a reasonably quick call because I've got another one straight after it. So let's see what he has to say. They do 2.1 million revenue, so 2.1 million revenue. Actually, the profit should be more like 400,000, but then the corporation tax isn't high enough. So let's see what Tim has to say.
Hello.
Hi, is that Tim?
It is.
Hi, Tim. It's Jonathan from Welcome.
Hello, Jonathan. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
Good, no problem.
Anna said she had a good chat with you the other day.
Yeah, well, I sort of have this little rule of my own where if anybody writes to me or phones me at least 3 times, then I've at least given the courtesy of phoning back.
Okay.
Mortgage people and ended up taking mortgages from people and all sorts. So at least it shows a little bit of determination on one side, and it shows processes are working and all this sort of thing.
Sure. So I've had a look at your website. It all looks absolutely fantastic.
Well, we're reasonably pleased with the way things have gone. I think you're being polite. I think the website's completely out of date. But to be honest, I don't think we get any business, or I don't think we get a lot of business through it anyway. And I don't think I just have it there because everybody tells me I ought to have one. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, the settings look very well looked after.
Yeah, they're in reasonable nick. We sort of work on the philosophy that people will pay for the service if you provide the right service.
Absolutely.
And I often say, we can all go and stay in a cheap B&B when we go away, but we choose not to, don't we?
Well, exactly.
We get a cheap sandwich from Tesco's, but we don't. So if you offer the service, then people, people are perfectly willing to pay. So we do leave the price bracket, I guess, in our locality. I wish more people would follow us a bit closer, because then it gives me an opportunity to go up a bit more. But
yeah. So what is it per session then?
Depends. Well, they're all different. Depends because the clientele of the different sites is completely diverse. So if you take, which is the mothership, for want of a better word, that's where we started and that's where we live. Their pricing, and of course now we're into funding. It's you're never comparing apples with everybody either.
Yeah, sure.
To give you a rough idea, I think this is right, because we only put the fees up in August, ready for September. So we're on £54.50 for under 2s, £52.50 for 2-year-olds, and £51.50 for 3-year-olds.
Right. Okay.
And part of the philosophy for that is obviously your ratios are more severe when they're younger.
Yes.
It also sort of means that whilst we put the fees up each year, as the kids get older, the bills never actually get any worse.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Go down because they go down from when you're a baby to when you're 2 to when you're 3. Obviously, when you're 3, you get your 3-year-old funding.
Yes.
Which a lot of that. But even before the funding, if you imagine having a baby at 54, then we put it up a pound.
Right.
Move up
Right.
And it sort of takes the sting out of it slightly.
Sure. And what was it that prompted you, apart from receiving several letters, what was it that prompted you to contact us?
Well, you in particular, because of the letters, to be fair. In saying that, whilst we have not got a formal exit plan, we are obviously getting older.
Okay.
As everybody is. And I think the way the industry's going, and given what they're saying at the Conservative Party conference, etc., in terms of minimum wage,
Oh yeah.
you've either got to
Yeah, I heard that.
forcefully expand to maintain your profit, because I think the margin is going to go down.
Yes.
So I guess we've been doing that since, we started in 2002. I was just a bystander, really. I was in the motor trade. And anyway, we've expanded because we could see that happening, and it's happening obviously fairly dramatically in terms of the funding that we're getting from the government.
Yeah.
So we went on that bandwagon for a little while and expanded. Then, due to personal circumstances, we just had to take a little bit of a back seat. And that sort of brings us up to present, really. So I'm not desperate to sell. The business isn't on the market. It's making a good profit. There's a strong argument to say, while it's making a strong profit, we ought to continue to make a strong profit.
Sure.
For a few years more. On the other hand, we need to be in control of the sales process, not get ourselves into a position where we're desperate to sell and we need to sell. So that's sort of where we are, to be perfectly honest.
So in an ideal world, what is the outcome that you're looking for?
For you to give me an offer I can't refuse.
I understand. Okay.
We've had a valuation from Redwood Dowling. They were very keen to put it onto the market. Their valuation, whilst I guess reasonable, didn't excite me. Because basically I didn't think it was enough. So we haven't done that. And again, that was an unsolicited approach from them, saying that they've got big groups of buyers. I can't remember whether they said foreign buyers, but I know there's foreign buyers coming into the market. So again, it was a casual foot in the water.
Yeah.
To see where it went, really.
They say that to everyone. I mean, I speak to nursery owners every day. It's the same script with everyone.
Well, I mean, to be honest, they have the same script on every single prospectus.
Yeah.
You read it, and
You've noticed.
A delightful nursery with huge potential.
You've noticed that, yeah, absolutely.
which makes me laugh, because you know some of them personally, and you know that that's not true.
Exactly, it's not particularly delightful. Yeah. No,
Most of the nurseries I've been to see are anything but delightful.
This is true. Yes, I may have seen some of the same ones.
Some of them are completely shocking.
Yeah, no, I get that. Absolutely, no, completely understand that. So, you sound to me like. So are you involved with the day-to-day running, or is it your wife that does that?
Well, we sort of strategically steer it. I do the bank, if you like. So nobody's touching the money apart from me. So I don't do the wages. I process the money leaving the bank.
Of course.
So we have a bookkeeper who does the bookkeeping, albeit that involves a little bit of my time to identify what we've spent and where it's gone, which is what I've been doing this morning. So I do the non-care side, if you like.
Yeah.
But we have two area managers that do the day-to-day running of the business.
Yes.
So we can walk away. We could walk away for a month with a little bit of preparation.
Yes.
And the business would run perfectly well without us.
Good. That's good. That's good to hear. So your wife isn't one of the managers then?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
She's probably less involved than I am now.
Oh, right. Okay.
Just bear with me. Just bear with me. Talking to the devil, she's shouting at me. Hold on. Yeah. I will. No, I'm just on a call. She's got herself a tortoise. And she's building a tortoise house.
Okay.
But that's another story, Jonathan.
So let me tell you quickly who we are, and probably I'll just reiterate what Anna said to you anyway, but worth saying again perhaps.
Yep.
So personally, I don't have any background in childcare, apart from having a daughter at nursery right now, and as a result of going around all the local nurseries a couple of years ago, I realised that some were, as we've just said, far from delightful, and some had a really lovely family feel to them. And I started talking to people about nurseries, as you do when you spend sort of every weekend or every early evening, I should say, looking at nurseries. And I realised that I knew someone who had some nurseries, and then they introduced me to someone else. And I thought that this felt like an area where I could make a difference in terms of investing into settings and developing them for the future. So my colleagues are very experienced in childcare. They are all former team members at Asquith, the quite large group that was sold to Bright Horizons a few years ago. So they went with Bright Horizons and then dispersed when their contracts expired. So we're working together. For example, one of my team is looking at 2 settings in Kent today. Another is at our locations in Essex, and the third is at our locations up in Lancashire. So we're a little bit spread out at the moment, but we're looking to acquire some more settings in the next 6 months or so, and then we'll probably take a break for a year, maybe 18 months, and then resume the search for some more settings in 2021. So really what I'm doing is, my role in this is I'm talking to people like yourself, really to establish, is this a conversation that we should be having now about something that happens in the next 6 months, or is it a conversation we should park until late 2020, early 2021 for our sort of second tranche of acquisitions? So do you feel that we should be talking now, or are we talking a little early and we should be talking back end of next year?
Good question. I guess because we're not very far down this route, I would probably tend to say next year.
Okay.
But that's only because we haven't, we're no further forward than talking about it at the moment.
So are you committed to selling, or is it just an exploratory idea at this stage?
I'm fairly committed to selling. One of the complications which I ought to say is that which is the mothership, if you like,
yes,
is attached to our house.
Right. Okay.
So selling, as far as I'm concerned, will involve moving.
Yeah, I mean, I've had exactly the same situation with 2 nursery owners in the last month. Exactly the same, and in both, in one case, that is also a farm. And
ours isn't a farm. We just used an old, because it was an old farm. So it's an old farm building.
Yeah.
And we've used the name, and I'm a sort of hobby farmer, but
Okay.
only because I had to buy a bit more land and then I didn't know what to do with it.
So you're saying in order to sell the nursery, you really need to sell your home as well?
Yeah, because the nursery, the back wall of the nursery is one of the boundaries of our back garden of the house.
Yeah, you see, the challenge is, as I'm sure you've already realised, is that to find some... So people who are interested in buying nurseries typically aren't actually interested in the freehold. They don't want the property, but they want to buy a business.
Yeah.
So then that kind of narrows it down a little bit to people who want to buy a business and want to buy property. And then in this case, it's want to buy a business, want to buy commercial property and buy residential property, which of course really has no benefit to anyone apart from someone who's buying a nursery for themselves to manage, perhaps. So someone who's sort of moving out of London and wants a home and a business at the end of the garden. Yeah. So that is slightly challenging, I have to say.
That is the sort of major complication in all.
I understand.
In saying that, there are another 5 settings, one of which is freehold. So I mean, there's different ways of skinning the cat, isn't there? We could sell the whole lot, or we could sell 5 of the 6.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and then do the 6th one, because that's going to be a slower, longer process. Because it's finding quite a unique buyer who's, as we said, prepared to.
Yeah, you need somebody like we were when we moved up from Oxford.
Okay.
Did nicely on the house purchase, the house prices. We had 4 young children, realised the nurseries, there wasn't any around here at all at that time, and people were travelling all the way through town and all the way back again.
Yeah.
And had the skill set to, well, my wife did, had the skill set to do something about it, and a big barn on the side of the house.
And so how many freeholds are there?
2, including the one we're talking about.
Right. And are they owned by the company or owned by you and your wife personally?
They're owned by the company.
Okay. So I've got one in the accounts that you sent over. I've got one. I've got tangible assets of 269,000. Would that be? That wouldn't be both of the properties, would it?
What did I send over?
Sorry?
I thought I only sent them. Oh, right, now I know what I sent over.
You sent over the abbreviated accounts.
Yeah, I mean, we could keep the freehold of the other if you didn't want the freehold.
It wouldn't be a priority for us, I must admit, because it just doesn't. From our perspective, it doesn't make too much sense, and I realise someone else will say the complete opposite. But from our perspective, it doesn't make too much sense because we're interested in the businesses. What we're doing with many of the people we talk to is that we ask for a long lease, and then the nursery owner has the benefit of that income for 15 years or so. But of course, it doesn't prevent them from selling the property at any time. But we just remain as tenants, which actually makes it quite attractive to a buyer because they've got a ready-made tenant.
Yeah.
Which is maybe worth considering.
Yeah. But I mean, as I say, it depends. We can go whichever way. I mean, we're in that fortunate position where we haven't got to sell the freehold to release that money for anything. Sure. So it's just another.
And of course, when you've got a tenant in there on a 15-year lease, you can always refinance. If you wanted or needed to release capital from the property, you could always refinance it in order to do that.
Sure.
Could I ask you whether you could send Anna the full accounts, because at the moment we've just got the abbreviated accounts accounts. We've really only got a balance sheet here. If you or your accountant could send over the full accounts, that would just allow me to understand a little bit what drives the numbers. I know that you've got over 2 million of revenue, but we haven't got anything that shows the profitability and the overhead and the staff costs and so forth. So it'd be really good to see those, because that would allow me to establish whether it's something I think that we should meet and sit down and talk about.
Okay, yeah, I can do that, no problem.
That'd be okay, Tim?
Yeah.
And you know, from our perspective, if it's something that we think makes sense, and you and I, after we've sat down and had 2 or 3 cups of tea, can reach what we both feel is a sensible arrangement, I think it's something that we would like to do at the early part of next year. There's no hurry or rush really on our side either, because we've got several others happening at the same time. But if it made sense, we could definitely give you a yes or a no, and we certainly wouldn't waste your time if it was a no.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, as long as we're both straight with each other, then we're not wasting each other's time, are we? As you say.
Sure.
So I'll do that. You can have a move through those, and then where does it go from there? You're going to give us what's back? Or?
Yeah, if you could, do you have them to hand to send over, or would you have to go to your accountant to get them?
No, I've got them on electronically somewhere.
Okay. Well, if you could whiz them over to us today, I can give you a call back tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the way we do this is we hold meetings at our office in West London, in Richmond, and we'd invite you down at a time that's convenient to you in the next couple of weeks, and then we can have a meeting a confidential meeting. We can go through the numbers. I can understand everything. You can ask me any questions that you want. I see that. I think you bank with NatWest, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had NatWest here today in the office this morning, and they're one of the banks supporting us, and it's a couple of our most recent acquisitions actually have also banked with NatWest, which is why we've developing this new relationship with NatWest.
Well, all the banks are very supportive of the industry.
Yeah, they are. True, absolutely, because it's kind of recession proof in a way, isn't it? So it's
well, we've certainly found it so. I mean, we've, apart from last year, we've had, so many years we've been open since 2002, and every year we've had a profit and revenue increase.
Yeah.
Apart from last year, and that got muddled up with the 30 hours and the
to figure that out. Yeah.
Wage and so on and so forth. So I didn't quite feel we could push all the whole increase through.
Yeah.
Plus we took on another area manager and odd bits and bobs.
Okay. Well, look, if you could send over the full accounts, then I'll come back to you tomorrow. Even if it's a thank you, but it's not right for us, I will come back to you,
Okay.
and we can take it from there.
Okay, super job.
Lovely, Tim. Have a good day.
Okay, and you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
Now, what's interesting about that is that he's clearly a bit more of a businessman than many people are in this sector, which is why we could have what I felt was quite a sensible conversation. I noticed that on Company's House he's put his occupation as sales manager, which is probably why he was doing such a good job at the beginning of positioning himself as someone who'd received a valuation that he didn't think was good enough. Interestingly, I don't understand how that could be, because brokers typically overvalue, so I don't see how they could give him a number that he didn't think was good enough unless his expectations are way off the chart. So once I've got the full accounts, I'll call him tomorrow, and we'll film the call tomorrow, and we'll see where this goes.